everybody. I hope you've had a beautiful day wherever you are. I just want to come to you tonight and remind you, if nobody told you today, that you are beautifully and wonderfully made in the eyes of God. I think all throughout our history and our culture, we've been expected to live up to a norm of beauty that is so unrealistic for both women and men. I've noticed throughout the years that the pressure to look a certain way, to act a certain way, even to feel a certain way is heightened. Just as much for males as it is for females, it's just not talked about nearly as often. We are all under the pressure of doing enough, being enough, looking like we're enough. We are constantly trying to be beautiful enough for other people when really we should be focusing on God. And the beautiful thing about focusing on God is that He doesn't require that we're enough, because His grace is enough. When we rely on Him, when we focus on Him, when we make Him our everything, His grace is always going to be enough. So we don't have to rely on our own sufficiency, because His grace is sufficient for us. I think that it's particularly worth noting that God didn't want everybody to be the same. He wanted us as Christians to be set apart. He wanted us as Christians to be unique and different. He wants us believers to be able to shine His love and light through our lives. And sometimes that requires looking different from the rest. I know that when I was growing up, being a person with a disability, I used to walk in a walker, and I also used a wheelchair later on in life, but I always looked different. I always was the center of attention pretty much when it came to people staring, and I'm not always saying that that's necessarily bad, because I think it can be a sign of curiosity. If your kid sees a person with a disability in the grocery store and they're staring at that person, yeah, it's because they probably never seen it before, so they're curious. So would I recommend that you pull them away immediately and tell them to quit staring? Probably not. Probably a better approach is to bring them up to the person with a disability and allow them to ask questions if the person's open to that, because if you want to expose them to differences, it's better to do it early. And it's okay to be different. It's okay for us all to look different. In fact, God obviously preferred it that way. Have you looked at the rest of the world? I mean, look at how much of a sense of humor He has in the way that He creates people. Look at your kids and how different they can be from you, while at the same time being so similar to you. It's quite ironical, in my opinion. But it's funny, because when I was thinking about what I was going to record today, I thought about how when you're making a casserole, somebody helped me, but I did get all the things for a new recipe today, and I was watching her as she cooked, and we made a new casserole today. And she's pretty familiar in the kitchen, but every step was well thought out, right? We had to talk and see like exactly what would fit into each container, and then she measured with measuring spoons how much spice to put in the ground turkey, and we talked about how well to cook the noodles, and how much cheese to put on the casserole, and how much maple syrup to put in the sauce, right? There were all these very particular ingredients that blended together to make something delicious. God did the same thing when he created you, right? And me. He blended together some of the best ingredients to make us who we are. And the world cannot ever expect us to be anything else, because maybe our particular set of ingredients just isn't going to taste as good if we mix it with somebody else's. I don't know if that makes as much sense to you as it did to me when I was thinking about it, but I know for sure that if one of those ingredients in the casserole were off, it would have thrown the whole thing off kilter. And the point is that God thought about everything that he used to make you in such a meticulous way that you are so beautifully and wonderfully made. And I want you to know that no one will ever be able to be as beautiful as you are, no matter what society tells you, no matter how you think you're lacking. God is always going to think you're beautiful. And if you spend more time focusing on that than focusing on everything that you're not, you're going to be in a really good place, because your worth will be coming from a source that never runs dry, a source that's always going to give you encouragement and fulfillment and love and kindness and approval. God always approves of you, even when you don't approve of yourself. So I just hope that you can look at this video tonight and just know that you are beautifully created by a Father who loves you dearly and who wouldn't have you any other way, literally. He created you just the way you are because he thinks you're beautiful just the way you are.